How's everyone doing today?
So far, so good.
Excellent, excellent. View, speaker view. All right, that sounds good. Don't use a background. None. We're good. Excellent. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So, well, I appreciate it. My name is Mike Pritchard. I'm the Associate Dean for Research and Graduate Studies here at the College of Technology and Aviation. And this week, I'm actually my own host and guest speaker. So I'll be talking through about the integrated systems design. I should have handed this off to somebody else to have them be the ADR for a day, and then that way I could just be the guest speaker. There you go. So we'll go through the ISD program. I'm also going to run through a little bit of a few developing research lines as it relates to the ISD program. And then, yeah, that'll be in the Q&A, just like our format from before. So perfect. Well, with that, I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. Excellent. Oh, we got some good audio on this. This is better than last time. All right, good deal. All right. Okay, I think I can take these things off. I'm not exactly sure why I'm still wearing these things in my head here. All right, well, good deal. So the Master of Science in Integrated Systems Design and Dynamics, just to kind of give you up with, it's still a systems engineering degree. And but we came up with design and dynamics to kind of emphasize a little bit more of the nonlinear polynomial systems. As we moved along, we ended up getting the cyber course prefix, which was kind of cool because that kind of laid the framework for cyber systems, cybernetics, and that really helped us out with the program in that regard, and actually gave us a good footprint into a lot of what we do with what Professor Atkin does with cyber human systems. What he's going to be doing with spatial computing here, because he's going to be the proud owner of another grad program here pretty soon. But then also with what Professor Nichols has with the aerospace cyber operations and what we do there, as well as space systems and operations with Professor Nichols, as well as advanced air mobility. We're going to go through all that today. So what's really great is you've seen all of this through the other grad certificate programs, as well as what Dr. Barnhart's gone through on the aeronautics side. And now we're going to kind of pull this all together at the end of the year and show you what we got. So I think the first thing to do is, for me, I want to make sure that everyone here, as well as, because this is not just for us, but working professionals, as well as students that are going to be coming out of their bachelor's degree, kind of the traditional route. Why would you even go to write as an audience? Why do you even bother going to get your degree? So I think masters and graduate programs in general have been getting kind of a bad rap over the years. But the reality is that the industry loves to pay lip service to the very thing that the industry executives are in. So I just want to throw that out there. The people that you hear complaining about this the most are the people that have grad degrees. And they're the people that are making more money than people that don't have grad degrees. So there's a bit of a interesting phenomenon that's happening. Sure, you can certainly do what Bill Gates did and don't have to go, and you can just totally, I was on that track. You can certainly try to roll the dice and be, and Fred, give me the statistics. What would be the percentages of you becoming a Bill Gates? Yeah, so 0 divided by infinity is still 0. Very good. So in other words, what Fred is saying is that Dr. G is saying that it's low, really low. So, but my point is not necessarily, again, that you want to be careful with like saying, hey, I'm going to throw my chips in with the Bill Gates of the world and the Peter Thiels of the world and say, hey, oh, I don't have to go to school. Well, okay, try it for sure, give it a shot. And at the end of the day, pragmatically speaking, the stats don't lie. If you're going to school, you're learning new trade skills, and you go to grad school, you're going to get, there's evidence to show that you're going to be making more money and you're going to suffer from lower levels of unemployment. So yes.
Investment in yourself is the safest investment there is.
Absolutely. Cannot be. That is some of the best advice. I love it. Very, very good. Very good. All right. So let's talk about ISD. Let's talk about the ISD program. It is a really one of the it is the university's newest program. We started in the spring of 23. So aeronautics, the Master of Science in Aeronautics was started in the fall of 22. And then we kicked this program off in spring of 23. And we also put a whole bunch of grad certificates right along with it. So one of the strategies we had was to make sure that this was 100% online. Everything's an 8-week course format. And then the grad certificates you see here were all packaged up at the same time. So it's all stackable. So we wanted to create an accessible STEM degree, but that also had some legs to it, so that if I, for example, took Professor Nichols' Space Systems and Operations grad certificate, and I went that route, I do 12 hours. Those 12 hours stack in as elective credit hours to the ISD program. And then you just go straight in and finish your ISD. You only have about a year left of ISD at that point. And then you've got 2 pieces of paper through one track. You'll get a grad certificate in Space Systems and Operations, as well as a Master of Science. Not getting cute with it. This is a full Master of Science degree in Integrated Systems Design and Dynamics. That's what's printed on the paper. And so what we did was we made it very modular. So if you just said, hey, I don't want to do Space Systems and Operations, I want to do cyber human systems and study under Atkin, hey, we got you covered. So advanced air mobility with Dr. Khan, Saeed Khan, as well as aerospace cyber operations with Professor Nichols as well in that area. And then there's 2 newer ones that are coming up. They're still going through committee, spatial computing and machine learning and autonomous systems. So those are all the grad certificates. Those will be coming online in spring of 24. Just as an FYI. So next semester, spatial computing got hung up in committee a little bit. I had to do a little bit of negotiation with computer science. So we got it. So, but we got spatial computing here, right? And that's the kind of the power of the ISD program, is that we're able to explore the niche parts and go after what the industry is looking at doing in a way that other grad programs can't do. So industrial engineering, right? They're going to have a hard time doing any of this, of what we're trying to do and bolt in, right? Because spatial computing is kind of out of their wheelhouse, right? It's not really, as an example, I'm picking on industrial engineering, but aerospace cyber operations, it's kind of, it's not really industrial engineering, right? But we can explore kind of those areas that, you know what, the Air Force really loves cyber operations, the military really loves cyber ops, but it works well because of the way we built the program. Very modular. Okay. I'm back. Okay, so then for those that might, this is actually something that I add in for the command and general staff for CGSC in residence officers. We also have an MOU with Fort Riley for these programs. So just as an FYI, we have, of the 23 programs that were on the MOU, Salina has 11 of the 23 on the MOU at Fort Riley. It's pretty cool. All the way from associates to certificates, all the way up to a bulk of it being our grad certificates and master's programs. That we pitch for them is do a grad certificate first, and then do the master's second. And we are able to capitalize on that paradigm because we built our program from the ground up with that in mind. Grad certificate in 2 semesters, you get, and it's not terrible, right? A grad certificate, if you're gonna take Professor Atkins' cyber human systems as an example, right? This applies to all of them, but I'm picking on cyber human. You take a 8-week course, and then in the first, so it's the first 8 weeks of the first fall. So you say, so this semester, let's say, there's one course you take in the first 8 weeks, and then another 3 credit hours that you take in the second 8 weeks in the fall, and then that's 6 hours in the fall. And what's great about that is FAFSA looks at that as more than half time. So you get covered by FAFSA, and here's what's nice about that. It's single threaded. So for a working professional, I only have to, it's a little bit more condensed, but I only have to focus on one class at a time, right? It makes life easier. So then you do that again in the spring, and then you're done in your grad certificate, and then you're done in 2 semesters. I'm looking at Professor Atkins. Yes. So, and that applies to both space systems and operations, advanced air mobility systems, aerospace cyber operations. That applies to all of the grad certificates. Now, why that's important is because for CGSC officers specifically, they need to be done while they need to be able to compartmentalize it and be done while they're in training there. So I always recommend that they go that route. Do your grad certificate, then after your first duty assignment, after, once you get PCS, you do your next duty assignment. After things kind of calm down, you can come back and take your master's and get it done in a year. So here's a quick overview of space systems and operations. So this is Professor Nichols' area. Like I'd mentioned, you got 2 courses in the fall, 2 courses in the spring. You do a core course of 20 hours for cybernetic modeling and simulation. It's very Python heavy. I do recommend that for every one of these tracks, regardless of what grad certificate you go into, if you are kind of light on the computer programming side of it, we do have introductory 1 credit hour courses. I do have a student from Lockheed Martin that took me up on this offer. Because getting into modeling and simulation with no programming background can kind of be a little daunting. So there is, I don't recommend you go too much further, but a 1 credit hour course that we offer here on our campus in scientific programming just gets you knocked out and gets you ready to go for it. So it's offered in the summer, so students get prepped for this and they're off. Yes, it is. Yep, online. Yep, it is. Yep. Next up is aerospace cyber operations. Same thing. I'm not going to go through the top, but the bottom here, I've got 15 hours. The aerospace cyber ops was formerly the UAS information assurance. It had a weird wonky name. So it was unmanned aircraft systems information assurance. There wasn't even a 4 in there. It was just kind of had so but we switched that over. We officially re-prefixed everything. So the rebranding for this is complete. So it is officially, it has been aerospace cyber operations renamed since almost 6 months ago now. But the course prefixes were still COT. Those recently got adjusted. So now we're all within the CYBR, the cyber universe for aerospace cyber ops. It's 15 hours. So it's a little bit more, little bit more rigor on the aerospace cyber ops. We've had, we just graduated another command and general staff CGSC officer just a couple last fall, or no, I'm sorry, last spring. Advanced air mobility. This is Dr. Khan, Saeed Khan. He's got the this one's an interesting one because it's 5 classes, but it's still credit hours. It's still 12 credit hours. So AAM 601 is a 1 credit hour course. And then AAM 605 is a 2 credit hour course, and they happen in the first 8 weeks. And so you take these 2 concurrently in that first 8 weeks. We did that. That also gives us some traction for reduced ATP hours. So for people that we're researching this piece of it, because this is all a nice, this program has a lot of neat legs to it because it's got a good, I mean, everything that we do is integrated, right? But what's nice about this for our campus is AAM crosses over from what integrated studies does to what UAS department does to what the aviation department does. It's got a lot of legs into all of that. All right. And cyber human systems, this is Professor Atkins' area, and we're super excited about it because not only does this is pushing the forefront of research just in general. There's no cyber human systems programs out there. You're not going to find, like, you'll see cyber ops programs out there. You'll see space systems programs out there. but you're not going to find a cyberhuman systems graduates program anywhere. It's just, now they do exist. The NSF has classified and identified cyberhuman systems as a research area. So we jumped on it right away. So we said, let's just move forward. And we've already got what, three students, maybe 4 students in this program already. So, and they're dual enrolled. They're enrolled in the grad certificate and the ISD program. Yeah. Okay. Get through this. Next up, machine learning. This is one that's coming up next semester. This is my personal area. So machine learning and autonomous systems. And so we have actually, it's even though the grad certificate is not official, we have 8 students in this program, and 6 of them are dual enrolled. Yeah, but machine learning, a lot of them are coming from the industry. Space systems are coming from the industry and military. Spatial computing, this is a new one, and I'm very excited about this because it was originally modeling and simulation. And you'll see it says modeling and sim here. So, but it's a graduate certificate in spatial computing. And this is probably, I would say, one of the hardest, hardcore, hard science grad certificates you're going to come across. And we didn't make it to be out hard. It just was like, the more we started researching like the skills that you need to do spatial computing, it's hard. It's not easy. So we renamed from modeling and sim because we were kind of going to go towards a more static modeling route, right? Create a model, turn the simulation on, and then let it run its course. And then that's kind of old school modeling and simulation. Spatial computing is the newer form of that. Says, no, this is a dynamic environment that's a living, breathing thing that you jump into this game that never ends, right? And that it's just this living, breathing universe that you dial yourself into. That's really what we're talking about with spatial computing. VR as well, but it's more to it than just that. So it bolts in real nicely to ISD. Okay, last, and then before I talk about just quick note on research. So we do have non-certificated options. These aren't as widely advertised. So let's say you as an industry professional, you're like, hey, none of those worked for me, and I don't really care about having a grad certificate. I call these the choose your own adventure non-certificated options. So you can do aerospace materials, you can do a generalist with your major professor. Okay, I have a student at CGSC that's kind of going this route because he's working with me specifically on transferring his joint operations, combined arms, ILE training at general staff. He's bringing that over as electives. So that takes care of kind of this. He still gets a Master of Science in Integrated Systems Design and Dynamics, but he won't get a grad certificate. Systems management. But there can also be some other options that it really does, because of the breadth of the catalog we've got. You can actually bring in a lot of different, again, it's the choose your own adventure option. Doug is like, can we do some more? Can we change some things? I already see Doug like, we got to make some adjustments. We can. And because ISD allows for that, we could create, and actually, I would love to chat with you about like an advanced composites grad certificate or something like that. Just, yeah.
With composites and manufacturing, we cover the rest of it. From my knot hole, companies are just dying for people that know the hardware of the construction of the aircraft.
Yeah.
Probably more so than the electronics of the aircraft.
Right.
I see a lot of potential with the materials, hardware, and manufacturing as an option, because just knowing what's coming, it would behoove us to do that.
So if you, what you're saying is, to Doug's point, if you have an idea, this is what I love about ISD. It's that flexible. And if you see an industry need, like Doug just mentioned, we can pop it in. It's that straightforward. We've gotten pretty good at it. Let me put it that way. Okay. All right. So one more thing is we have accelerated degree programs. I believe these are gonna be officially on the books by the end of the year. So we have an accelerated degree program which shaves off 9 graduate credit hours. So if you're an undergrad before, I think the rule is what, 100 and, do I have the rule on here? I think it's before 111 hours. So where I'm going is it takes, so the undergrad identifies 3 classes that they take. They pay undergrad tuition credit hours for them. And then when they take the master's program, they immediately enroll into the master's program minus 9 credit hours for the master's. You got a question over here?
Well, it's not exactly a question. It's kind of a add-on. Maybe I'm piling on. So in the Bachelor's of Science in Applied Business and Technology, I was looking at the stuff online last night. It appears to me that there are 3 courses that are specific. That it's the 706, the 715, and the 720 are the 3 courses that I think the students have to use, right, for this. But the beauty of that is we have some trouble getting students enough upper division credit hours in the Applied Business and Technology degree. So if we could get some people moved that direction, this provides additional credit hours above the 300 level, right? These 700 level courses. So that's another advantage that this brings us. And then if I understand it right, Mike, the 9 credit hours don't have to be their last.
Correct.
So
that's right.
So they would have to make the determination at some time in order to get to 120 for the bachelor's. They'd have to make the determination probably sometime before 111.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
And then
it
roll
could be,
these 3 in at undergrad tuition.
Correct.
But have them apply to both degree programs.
Correct.
Spectacular. Spectacular.
That is correct. That is accurate. And that is exactly right. If your undergrad is very aggressive and knows exactly what they want, they can take it in their junior year. They can take 1 class in their junior, take another one towards their late junior, and then take another class in their senior. Or if they come across it at the last minute, then it is possible at the 111-ish hour mark. Okay, knock it out, and then that's your last 3 classes, right? But the thing is the timing doesn't always work out because of the right scheduling. So it's always better to kind of make sure that they have the option in their junior year and that they're aware of it in their sophomore year, right? They're at least, we're advertising in the sophomore year, hey, this exists. But then in their junior year that you kind of want to make sure that they circle back if you're interested. And I see this as especially helpful because there's, especially for our CFIs, right? And there's a accelerated degree program for the Master of Science in Aeronautics as it relates to the pro pilots. So if you're in the professional pilot program, there's an ADP for that as well. So if you're going to be here and you want to stay here to be a CFI for a little bit more to gain some hours, why not, work on your MSA on the side and keep, just build your resume up, right? So it's some good opportunities. The reason this is 23, by the way, is because ISD is a 32 credit hour program as an FY, not a 30. So you probably are like, all right, great, this is awesome, but how does this help with research and what do we even, so it actually is actually because you have grad programs, they go hand in hand. Research and grad programs go hand in hand. And I don't know the general public doesn't really, they're not quite aware of that, but I just want to make that more known, that to be able to do research and stimulate that and be able to go after research dollars is greatly enhanced when you have graduate programs. So because I can actually have a conversation with the Air Force Academy as an example to say, hey, your students can come here when they leave the academy because the academy doesn't have they have AFIT, right? But that's very competitive to get into the Air Force Institute of Technology. But we have programs that line up with what they do when their cadets leave the academy. So there's opportunities for them to come back and do research. But on top of that, again, 100% online, they can be in Okinawa and still be taking classes with us. So we actually have that happen with the Army, some Army people. Anyway, so, but the other part of this is that we can actually have a conversation around our grad students that are interested in doing more advanced research. Not just tell me, I'm going to class, tell me what to do, but this is like, okay, remember, grad studies is about like, what do you want to do? What research line do you want to go into? What do you want to research a little bit more? So we actually have some of this happening where in the cyberhuman system side, Atkins already secured funding. And a lot of it is because we have a cyberhuman systems program. People know that we are of the VR campus. People know that we're doing, like, that's permeated across the system. Like, oh, you want to do VR and cyberhuman and all that cool, I want to say another word, but all that cool stuff. You want to do that, you go to Salina, right? And so because we are dealing with the, you know, we're not so theoretical, but we're also dealing with a lot of the real bleeding edge industry technology. So there's a EPA, am I saying that right? So $500K that came through with Professor Atkin for with the in concert with the Pollution Prevention Institute. Yeah, and so they work together, they got some funding, and so it's helping out, right? Space domain awareness, we couldn't have a conversation with them unless we had a space systems program, and then also our VR experience, right? So we're working with them. This is year 2 we're working with them on this project for space domain awareness, and I just met with General Dickinson just a couple weeks ago. It's his #1 priority. It's the whole reason why we're doing a lot of what we're doing. We don't have to launch rockets into space to be in the space business. People think you got to be like, oh, you got to be like, you don't have to. It's a big industry, right? It's not, I'm saying it's not rocket science. That's right. That's right. Space systems and operations. Professor Nichols actually has grad students in there working on risk assessment for space debris, materials research in spacesuits. We also have a new one that we picked up that we're working with on reaction wheel development, like machining. This is kind of on the ME side. So Chad, Doug, as well as James. And I'm missing a name. There's another name in there that I'm missing. Was it just the 2 of you? I think it's primarily you, but it's anyway. So Chad's like, I don't know. But reaction wheels are really, really big, not just in robotics, but I mean, fine motor control for robotic systems. But I mean, you can't do attitude control of a spacecraft without reaction wheels. And it turns out that the Air Force Academy, okay, so getting reaction wheels for spacecraft, it's many, 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 many years out. So, and then you get to like, so that turned into a research opportunity for us to build our own, right? So we're like, hey, let's partner up on something like this. So more to come on that one. Yeah. Advanced air mobility systems, wireless power, as well as advanced composites. Doug, I see another one for aerospace materials down here. But aerospace materials, I mean, that's a big one, right? Like our work with General Atomics. This is not a comprehensive list. We've got work with General Atomics on advanced composites. I know that Doug's working with GA on that. And as well as mission simulator training that we're going out in a couple of weeks to go meet them and talk about some heavy duty stuff. MQ9 research. We've got an MQ1 coming, which will be cool. We'll actually have some and our very own MQ1 on campus, hopefully by February. Have you heard word on that? Okay. That's all I have. I'm done talking. I appreciate it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to me chat. I'm gonna switch over and stop sharing, and then I will, if I can figure out how to. Amen.
This for you, Mike.
All
Mike?
right. I'm good to go. Professor Nichols, go ahead.
Got, two questions for you. You're going to have a student that is going to be asking probably the same question on Friday, Pete Johnson. The aerospace cyber operations has 15 hours, and it has part of that is the fusion course, which basically is the equivalent of a thesis, if you will, but in a presentation, a commercial presentation. He's about to go after the MSIDD2 or your master's, and probably wants the 15 hours as a transfer rather than the 12 hours. Can you negotiate that one with him?
No, I can't, unfortunately. Yeah.
So it's 12 hours max?
12 hours is only what the grad school allows us to. Yeah.
Okay. I told him that, but I thought you'd be prepared for that.
Okay.
The
That sounds good.
second question is more of a concern. Am I clear that that a student who goes into any of these master's or certificate programs, or even the asymmetric one that you gave us at the end there, has to be a graduate student?
They have to have a bachelor's degree. Yes.
But admitted by the graduate school.
Correct.
All right. Well, we need to be careful on that because we've got some juniors. In fact, we had a freshman request to get into these programs. I basically said I don't think that's possible because you have to have a graduate degree.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you have to have an undergraduate degree.
You have to have a bachelor's degree. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And there is the accelerated programs too. So students can come into so for example, if they still want to get into the program, they can go through the applied business and technology, which is completely the ABT, that's a Bachelor of Science fully online, right? Yeah. So
I guess the follow-up question on that, and Fred will back me up on this one, I'm pretty sure, is that we need to have at least one, potentially two, or even, I don't think three, but on a committee at will that kind of reviews the students coming in, because there are students at different levels. And some of them are fascinated with what we're doing, but may not have the mathematical or the writing background or the, whatever the background. As you were talking about materials, and some of these were pretty difficult to jump into without an engineering type of activity, meaning that they probably would have to take some remedial course first before they get into it. And if we admit and then not check that out, that the student is setting himself up for a difficulty.
Yeah. No, the process, and that's a good point. As we start to build out the programs, and we start to build up the enrollment numbers for each of the programs, we should put a guideline together. And I know that I'm working with. This is actually a good one that we could put in with Dr. Ackerman around a rider graduate program handbook, so to speak, that's specific to Salina. Now, we don't want to reinvent the wheel. So the idea is the grad school already has a handbook, but what we want to do is kind of have a supplement, if that makes sense, where to your point, Randy, because some of the programs like the machine learning and autonomous systems, as well as the spatial computing grad certificates, those are probably going to be, if you don't have a computer background of some kind, or you can't demonstrate that you have some kind of computer background, we should put in that it's recommended that you take these courses as remedial courses before coming into the program. So, but that could be something that's handled by the selection committees themselves as you review. So Fred's got a question.
Well, I'm kind of piling on to Randy's question. Is there in fact already in the system a review process when the application to the graduate programs comes in from the student? So the student goes online and applies for one of these programs or one of these certificates, applies to be a graduate student. And typically in the past, the computer system that we were using, that I know we're phasing out, would send that request to our committee on this campus, which was made up of 3 faculty who would review that application and recommend the student for admission or not. Are we doing that anymore, Mike, or is
Yeah.
that gone away?
Yeah, no, we are absolutely doing that. And
I've
that's
got your
something that-
microphone.
yeah. Yeah, no, we are doing that, and we are still reviewing those. But to Randy's point, it's twofold. One is we could actually handle it a couple different ways. We could have easily gone in and made the a prereq requirement within each of the grad certificates. We could have easily done that, but we didn't want to do that because then that would have added more layering that would have made that a little bit more just less accessible. We wanted it to be more accessible, so we didn't want to add a lot on there. So so what we did was these recommended guidelines. But that's a good point, because some of the programs you should have a little bit of a background, but we can certainly help with the remedial courses if you need them. But as a selection committee, we should be on the lookout for that. So yes. Yeah. And we do have selection committee. Each there's a group for MSA and then a group for ISD. So yeah. We don't have them isolated down to this is for SSO, this is for AAM, this is for well, you're one of them, so we'll throw after this is over, I'll tell you who the names are. So yeah, that'll be good. Any other questions from online? Okay, any other questions from here internally? Is it Miller time? Well, thanks again. I really appreciate everyone's time. This has been fun. I think as a public service announcement, what we'll have next is project related. This wraps up our research forum for the main program pieces. We'll circle back when spatial computing comes back online, or becomes approved rather. We'll circle back on that. And then machine learning, we'll circle back on that when it becomes approved as well. But that'll be next year. So we'll have Professor Atkin back again when spatial computing comes up, and maybe talk a little bit about the stuff that with the Air Force Academy and USAFA. And then from a project perspective, that would be perfect, because we'll start to talk about some of the output. And so Professor Nichols, probably in the February timeframe, will probably have you speak out as well on some of the research that's kind of getting kicked out of the Space Systems program. And I think we'll circle back with Kurt Barnhart towards the tail end of the year. Thanks again. I really appreciate it. Enjoyed it. And we'll see you in the next installment of this series. So thanks.